So what do we do? Wargames?
Wargames.
Wargames.
Yeah, Wargames.
Wargames. Okay, Wargames has very quickly become one of my favourite films of all time. It's most likely because of the nostalgia value.
Oh.
Simply because it was made in 83, or it was released in 1983. So all of the technology, all of the computer games and stuff that you see throughout the film, I just get this nostalgic buzz about.
So wonderful sort of wireframe.
I know,
pixelated.
Well, it's the big heavy technology. Like floppy disks weren't like little 4-inch by 4-inch type things. They were actually massive.
Yeah, it was like
hold with two hands.
Yeah,
type of thing.
About the size of a laptop.
Yeah.
Was the standard, and held about 1/1,000,000 of the information.
So I think the main reason why Wargames sort of sticks in my mind as a really, well, for me, I've very fond memories of the technology. It's that which sort of brings it up. But it's not just that. The story that it tells has actually aged surprisingly well.
Well, in a sad way, the world hasn't moved on, has it, really? Although we don't really have the Cold War anymore, we've got that.
No, it's got the period Cold War paranoia, but everything that you see in the film actually went on to become commonplace.
It's true, yeah.
So it wasn't sort of this fantasy science fiction type thing. It was actually quite grounded in reality.
Now, the thing that I actually struggled with the most was the idea that a computer nerd could end up with the prettiest girl in school.
Yeah, that was the most far-fetched thing. But
the rest of it I can deal with,
yeah.
but no. Computers will get you laid.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen, is it?
No, not in the clique-ridden world of American schools.
I gotta admit, it's a testament to the plot and everything of that film that I managed to not be put off by Matthew Broderick, because I...
You mentioned that you loathe and despise Matthew
Broderick.
I
don't know why. There's something about his little black eyes that make me just want to hit him.
There is something very punchable about his face.
Yeah.
You really want to step on his neck.
I don't know why.
You wouldn't feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
But no, he's
not getting sucked into a bashing of another Hollywood celebrity.
Well, it's Matthew Broderick. I'll happily punch him for a while. But
But the film doesn't rely on him, I don't at all, really. He's just there to carry the plot along, and I can deal with that.
Well, it's the scientist that he tracks down who's more the hero than him.
I love that whole sequence with him using the dinosaurs as a metaphor for how mankind will destroy itself.
Yeah.
That we've had our time, and
time for us to do it. It's inevitable.
Nature will erase us one way or another.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool, and I loved that whole sequence on his little house on Goose Island.
Yeah, I will say that he did sort of change his mind very quickly, perhaps a little too quickly. So like the kids show up, we need you to save the day.
Yeah.
No, I'm sunk into this melancholy funk.
I'll tell you what, I'll dig out my 1960s helicopter and come to your rescue.
Yeah.
I've got this helicopter gunship left lying around from Vietnam.
Well, he did work for the military.
Because you imagine, what was it? It was a retirement gift. Is there anything you've always wanted? Yeah, Huey.
Well, no, actually, his retirement was, the military's going to fake your death.
Yeah, and we'll give you a Huey.
Yeah.
It'll come with a signed copy of Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries.
But for what is meant to be a family film, it does start off with this incredibly tense sequence in this Minuteman missile launch facility.
Yeah, I gotta admit, about 15 minutes in, I thought this could be the prelude to Terminator.
Yeah.
It could work really well.
Well, yeah, that's what you mentioned before, isn't it?
I don't want to wander off tack too much or anything, but...
Wander away.
That was my biggest problem with Terminator 3. I mean, apart from the fact that Arnie in the sunglasses, we won't bother with that.
Oh, well, where it's starting to be a parody of itself.
Yeah, where it starts to, become a musical or something.
Where he puts on the really gay sunglasses. Yeah.
But aside from all that, my issue with it... I actually meant Terminator 4. Completely lying. Salvation's what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, you had a gripe with Salvation?
Yeah.
I was going to say
I actually quite like, I got issues with Salvation, but my biggest problem is the way they perceive Skynet, the way they portray it.
What, is
Skynet should be more like the Whopper in...
What, a supercomputer?
Yeah, but it needs that retro technology and everything. What you see at the end of Terminator 3, when they go into that bunker at the end, that is what Skynet should be.
Just somewhat...
At the heart of it all, they've got all the, all the Terminators running around and all the futuristic technology, fine, because they've evolved. But at the heart of it should be this, 1980s BBC computer are running it all.
Well, I mean,
because it's hooked into everything, but Skynet should be this ancient thing that's locked away in a little dusty vault somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
it's still ticking away.
When the first Terminator, when was that made? That was made, what, 80s? Was that 80s or 70s?
80s,
I can't remember, But, I mean, that's obviously what they had in mind when they did it. But as time has gone on and technology has evolved, they've obviously had to rewrite it. So Skynet became a sentient virus on the internet instead of a single computer. It wasn't a single computer.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
aware of that. I know it would be a network and everything. I haven't got a problem with that.
It's
but
just
the way that it's portrayed.
It would be better.
In my mind, and I just know in my heart that if Cameron had directed that, that is what you would have got.
You would have got some clunky computer. It would have
been some clunky little dusty little room somewhere that everyone had completely forgotten about. They wouldn't have been guarded by robots and this, that and the other. It probably wouldn't have been anywhere near the factory at all. It would be buried out in some little bombed out old house that everybody had forgotten about. And it would just be sat there in a corner.
That would just be so much better.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, exactly.
But I mean,
that's what you want.
That whole thing about technology is what I like about Wargames.
Yeah.
Because it focuses on that sort of retro technology, which is now becoming what they call retro future technology, which I quite like.
Because it's referencing the old stuff.
But it goes back to the initial reason why I think it's aged well is because everything that you see in that film has now become possible, or more mainstream. It was always possible. It was possible during that film. I think you were doubting at one point whether a kid would actually have a modem or something to connect to the internet and stuff.
Yeah.
But the technology...
Well, I'll go a little bit struggling with the idea that there would be a network for it to connect to.
Yeah.
But, we can get around it. Because, as I say, in Sneakers, they do it at the beginning of Sneakers, in a very similar way with the dial-up, with the phone and everything.
Sneakers was 91 though.
Yeah, but the opening sequence is set in the 60s.
Oh yes, that's right. Well, there was the whole interconnection of computers had been around.
People were doing it
60s.
Around. The concept of it was around. So it's fine.
The internet, as we know it, didn't crop up or get commercialised until the early 90s.
Completely.
But yeah, the tech was always there. But it's just the tech about this film which I really like. And if you want
excited about the retro tape machines.
If you want an insight into 80s tech culture, Wargames is the film that you really must see.
From a filmic point of view, I really liked the way they did the message as well, because it's a message film. Let's be honest, it's a product of the 80s.
Yeah,
nuclear war is bad, and the only way to win it is not to fight it.
The only way to win the game is not to play it.
It's not to play it, yeah. And the thing that I thought was really nice is that at the beginning of the film, you get the sequence with the guys, and they're going to set off the rockets and everything, and the guy basically can't do it because he's got a soul, and he's a human being. And so they have this great idea about replacing everybody with a robot. And then by the end of the film, they realise actually what we need is a robot with a soul because it needs to stop and ask a question. And the whole learning process is that actually it's good to have someone who isn't just going to press the button no matter what, because sometimes that would be bad.
Yeah.
Occasionally, you don't want a nuclear war.
Don't do things by the numbers. Try to have a think about the situation. It's not just a black and white scenario.
And it's, they use the idea that the computer is the thing that's learning, that it learns that it plays tic-tac-toe and it learns the idea of a no-win scenario. But actually, it's about people learning, and it's about all the military types going, actually, we do want people who are going to stand back and think about this. And I thought it was really nice.
Yeah, you might think that kind of message is kind of a twee by today's standards, but I find that kind of reassuring.
Yeah,
because it's level of the military.
I don't think it really hammered it home too much either.
No, it wasn't.
It kind of mentions it once or twice. And mostly, it's about them trying to work out how to stop the computer, and that's it. And it's not really. It doesn't really go on and on about being anti-war, which it obviously is. Come on, you have to be a complete retard to miss that. That's what the film's about.
So it does have a sort of anti-war message, but it's still a sort of teen thriller, really.
But don't get me wrong, I don't mind a film with a message. At least it knows where it's going.
No, it's when the message smothers.
Ratatouille. Yeah. Ratatouille, I just get... I can't. I don't know what that film's trying to say to me. Rats.
No.
Cook. Anyway.
I'm not quite sure how Ratatouille wove its way into the conversation.
So good example of a film that I'm not
Doesn't-
really sure what it's saying. Whereas you're fine with War Games. Oh right, okay, war's bad. Yeah, good. I'm going to deal with that.
It's a film that knows what it's about.
Yeah, that's all right.
It has
not a problem with that.
It has the message. It doesn't beat you around the head with it, and it just tells its story really well.
Yeah.
But I love the tech.
It is pretty. I gotta admit that whole sequence at the beginning with the secret entrance to the base and this little house and then all the bunker and everything's just awesome. And the way it goes straight into they're gonna launch some missiles. Is this a test? What? Hang on, is it gonna flash back or what's happening? It really caught me off guard. So I've never seen it. Never seen Wargames.
No, I was surprised you hadn't seen it.
It's one of those films that was always on, and I'd always catch like 5-10 minutes of it and think, "Oh, this looks quite good," but I've missed too much to watch. And it was always like that. It was always one of those films that I'd walk in halfway through and go, "Oh, bollocks, I missed it again."
I can't remember when I first saw it, but I know I must have seen it when I was quite young because.
Plus, it had Matthew Broderick in it.
Yeah, and you hate Matthew Broderick.
Punching.
But the first time I saw it must
Not
have
that
been.
I've said.
The first time I saw it must have been when I was quite young because I remember that scene where they're closing up Mount what do you call it?
Rushmore.
No, not Mount Rushmore.
It's not. I just thought.
Mount Cheyenne, the Cheyenne Mountain complex.
Cheyenne Mountains.
Yeah, where NORAD's based. They're closing up the mountain.
Yeah, which is apparently a tour destination. I struggled with that.
Yes, that was a bit weird.
Really?
It's like
now maybe. But during the height of the Cold War,
yeah, you're not gonna
this
have
or Disneyland. Gee, let me think.
That's really not gonna go. I mean, it's
Can't
where
see that happening.
it's the National National Airspace Defence Command Centre.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have.
Come on in, have a look round, take photos.
You're not gonna have
a person with a camera. Like really?
You're not gonna have Ma and Pa Kent wandering around.
Are you Russian? Yet.
But the bit that scared me as a kid was where they were running towards that massive door that was closing.
And the guy just gets through it. I know. I was just waiting for some poor son of a bitch to go, "Oh, I'm stuck in that."
Well, I mean, that's
that
what
is a health hazard waiting to happen.
That's what went through my head as a kid. What would it be like to A, get stuck in that door, or B, be stuck on the wrong side of that door? So I know I saw it quite young because that particular scene stuck with me for ages. It was only recently where I went back to the film and started obsessing over computer arcades, video game arcades.
One of the things I must say that I really liked was when they're on. I just love that whole sequence on Goose Island with the professor when he just says, "Don't worry, I've positioned us quite close to a prime target."
That's so
we'll
dark.
Get incinerated.
That's
quickly.
really dark.
But actually, yeah, I've always thought that. I always thought if there was a nuclear war, I'd rather be bang gone than wander around in the ruins.
Yeah.
Like some kind of Mad Max
slowly becoming
survivor.
slowly becoming irradiated.
Bits falling off me and having to fight.
The lining of your stomach dissolves and you just start vomiting blood until you're dead. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Not being trained in SAS survival tactics, so fighting off hordes of like irradiated crazies doesn't appeal to me as a form of lifestyle.
The reality of that sort of makes me think, yeah, I just want to go up with the flames. But then at the same time, there's that sort of fantasy part of me which sort of says, I kind of want to live the world of Fallout, the computer game Fallout.
Yeah, but that's like 200 years after the bomb's gone off.
Yeah,
or
I
something.
know
Not like
that.
a week later.
It's not going to happen tomorrow.
You walk down the street and by the time you got to the end, you've got no arms.
As I said, it's the sort of fantasy element. So, yeah, that'd be quite fun. No, not really.
Plus, there's the whole possibility of the Sarah Connor style death, where you're like hanging off a fence while your skin gets stripped off.
Yeah, that doesn't look like fun either.
That looks like that's the longest 10 seconds you're ever going to experience.
Yeah. That'd be quite nasty. Thankfully, your eyeballs would burn first.
Oh, brilliant!
Yay! I can't see what's going on, but it bloody hurts.
Running around blind in the ruins, dying of radiation poisoning. How did this become so dark?
I don't know.